My fiancé dumped me on Christmas after I lost my job. Days later, I won $4.8 million in the lottery and vanished. Months later, she tracked me down. I woke up Christmas morning thinking I'd spend the day celebrating, maybe even proposing again someday. Instead, my fiancé dumped me before I finished my coffee, her words cutting deep, "You have no future." That moment felt like the end, but it was just the beginning of a story I never saw coming. The Christmas tree lights blinked softly behind her as she walked out, pulling her suitcase, leaving me alone on the couch at 7 a.m. See, up until early December, my life was boring, in the best way. I'm Liam, 35, an IT analyst in Portland, Oregon. Decent salary, nothing wild, but secure. 6 years at the same company, knew everyone's coffee order, my own parking spot, the whole 9 yards. I was engaged to Chloe. 2 years together, planning a spring wedding, talking about kids, debating if our daughter would be named after her grandmother or mine. We'd bought half the decorations, argued DJ versus band so many times I could recite both sides. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Then, the first week of December hit. My company was acquired by some massive corporation out of San Francisco. You know the drill, email at 9 a.m., security walking people out by noon. 60% of us were cut, and I was one of them. No warning, no review, just 2 weeks severance and a generic thanks for your service email. I sat in my car, staring at that email, thinking about the mortgage, the wedding deposits, the ring I still owed on. It felt like a punch to the gut. But I wasn't giving up. I started hustling immediately, freelance gigs, fixing servers, building basic websites, network repairs. The money was inconsistent, way less than my old salary, but it was something. I even sold my car. We could make do with Chloe's Honda, and I needed the cash cushion. I told myself this was temporary, that I'd find something better in January, and we'd laugh about this rough patch at our wedding. But Chloe changed. So fast, I almost didn't see it. The first few days after I lost my job, she said all the right things, "It'll be okay, we'll figure it out together." But by the end of that week, something shifted. Wedding talk stopped. She came home later, gave one-word answers, went straight to bed. She started going out with friends more, hitting bars and clubs on weeknights, places she never cared about when I had a stable job. Our nightly talks, even about stupid TV shows or breakfast, just stopped. There was only silence. I kept trying to make things normal, suggesting movies, asking if she wanted to decorate for Christmas. She'd just shrug, maybe later, but later never came. By mid-December, I could feel her slipping away, but I refused to believe it. We'd planned a life for 2 years. Growing old, a house, teaching kids to ride bikes. You don't just throw that away because someone loses a job, right? Wrong. A week before Christmas, I suggested driving to my parents' place for the holidays, like always. She looked at me like I'd suggested Mars. Maybe another time. But then mentioned she was going to her parents alone. That stung. Every day she got colder. No goodbye kisses. Scrolling her phone at dinner. Sleeping on the far edge of the bed. I kept telling myself it was temporary. Once I found a new job, things would be normal. I even had her Christmas present, a beautiful necklace she'd eyed for months, wrapped under our tree. I imagined her face. Christmas morning arrived. I woke early, trying to make it special despite everything. Coffee, eggs, bacon. Set the table like a normal holiday breakfast. Christmas playlist, tree lights, her favorite cinnamon candle. The apartment looked festive, but felt hollow. I knew. Chloe walked in around 7:30, already in her coat. Not pajamas, not the sweater I got her last year. Jeans, boots, heavy winter coat, like she was leaving. No makeup, hair in a messy ponytail, her face blank. My stomach dropped. She sat across from me, didn't touch the food, didn't even glance at her present. She just stared for what felt like an hour. Then she spoke, her voice flat, final, like she'd rehearsed it. I can't stay tied to someone with no future. And I won't fake my happiness on Christmas. I just sat there, fork halfway to my mouth, trying to process. I slid the wrapped necklace across the table, some pathetic part of me still hoping it was a dream, a test, something fixable. She didn't even touch it. She stood, said she was going to her parents alone, and would come back for the rest of her stuff later. Then she walked out. I heard her car start. Christmas was over. I sat there for an hour, eggs getting cold, Mariah Carey singing, feeling like the biggest failure. No future, she said. It looped in my head, no future. No future. The next few days were the worst. Worse than getting fired. I barely slept. My apartment felt haunted. I threw myself into freelance work, coding at 2 a.m. just to keep my brain busy. Then, 3 days after she left, late one night, a news alert popped up on my laptop. Someone in Idaho had won the Powerball jackpot, $9 million. I didn't think much of it, just another reminder some people get lucky. But then, something clicked. That weird nagging feeling. Mid-December, right after selling my car, I'd stopped at a gas station to fill Chloe's Honda before a grocery run. On impulse, I'd grabbed a Powerball ticket, spent $2, picked random numbers, and stuffed it in the kitchen junk drawer. Forgotten. Who actually wins? But there, at 2 a.m., with that news alert, I had to check. My hands shook as I dug through old batteries and takeout menus for the crumpled ticket. I pulled up the winning numbers on my phone. Checked once. Twice. A third time. My brain refused to accept it. Every single number matched. All 6. $9 million. After taxes, about $4.8 million. I sat on the kitchen floor in the dark, holding that ticket, and I didn't feel happy. Or excited. Or relieved. I felt empty. 1 week ago, Chloe told me I had no future. Now I was a millionaire. The universe has a sick sense of humor. The first thing I did wasn't celebrate or call anyone. It was sit in silence and make a plan. I knew exactly what would happen if Chloe found out. Tears, apologies, I never stopped loving you, we can work through this now that money isn't an issue. I'd seen enough stories. I wasn't becoming another cautionary tale. I spent that night researching, reading legal forums. By morning, I had a name, Mark Harrison, an attorney in San Francisco specializing in lottery winnings and asset protection. The kind of lawyer who knew every trick. I called him after New Year's. He wasn't surprised. He said we'd set up a trust to claim the money anonymously, explained that Idaho allowed privacy, and told me to cut every financial tie to Chloe immediately. I followed his instructions. Closed joint accounts, removed her access to my cards, changed passwords on everything, deleted social media, got a new phone number, only my parents and brother had it, rerouted mail to a P.O. box. Mark processed the claim. Within 2 weeks, $4.8 million sat in accounts not directly tied to my name. It felt surreal. But I needed to disappear. Portland was too small, too many mutual friends. Chloe would track me down. I needed to vanish completely. I researched small towns in Idaho, places with mountains, lakes, and privacy. I found Sun Valley, a tiny town near Yellowstone National Park with maybe 7,000 people. I drove up in February, found a beautiful cabin-style place on the edge of a lake. 3 bedrooms, huge windows, surrounded by pines. Asking price $400,000. I bought it cash through an LLC, closed in 10 days, and moved in before Valentine's Day. The irony wasn't lost on me. Starting a new life on the most romantic day, alone, but finally free. Life in Sun Valley was different. Quiet. I could breathe. I didn't buy a mansion or a sports car. I lived simply. groceries at the local market, volunteered at the community center teaching basic computer skills to seniors. Helped small businesses with their networks, for free, just to feel useful. People appreciated it, no questions asked. I made genuine friends slowly. Ethan, who ran fishing tours, we'd grab beers and talk about nothing important. It felt good to just exist. Then, in early March, at a community potluck, I met Allison. She was arranging homemade chili, wearing jeans and flannel, hair in a braid. When she looked up and smiled, it wasn't a smile that wanted something. Just warm, genuine. We talked about how terrible my store-bought cookies looked next to everyone's dishes, and she laughed. An easy laugh that made me feel normal for the first time since Christmas. We kept running into each other, coffee shop, library, hiking trails. She was a nurse at the local clinic, lived in Sun Valley her whole life, loved the mountains. She knew nothing about my lottery win or Chloe. And I didn't tell her. It felt incredible to be just Liam. Not lottery winner Liam or dumped on Christmas Liam. We started spending more time together, a friendship that slowly became more. She'd text me sunrise pictures. I'd bring her coffee before early shifts. For the first time since everything fell apart, I felt like I could build a real future with someone who actually valued me. But the past doesn't stay buried. Chloe made sure of that. The first message came right after New Year's, barely a week after she walked out. My old phone, kept off in a drawer, buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Liam, I want to talk, please." I knew it was her. I didn't respond. Over the next 3 days, messages came from different numbers, from her friends, mutual acquaintances. She's sorry, she needs closure. Then the calls started. Voicemails I deleted unlistened. Texts grew more desperate. By mid-January, she'd figured out I'd left Portland. One of her friends saw my apartment listed for rent. The messages got frantic. "Where are you? Are you okay?" I deserved to know. I ignored everyone. Blocked every number. Thought that was the end. I was wrong. Late February, I was working in my home office when I heard a car pull into my driveway. My stomach dropped. There she was. Chloe. Standing next to her Honda, looking exhausted after what must have been a 6-hour drive. I have no idea how she found my address. Maybe she hired someone, stalked my parents, tracked down a forgotten mutual friend. But she was there, on my property, looking up at my house like she had every right. I watched her through the window. Didn't move. She knocked softly, then harder. I heard her voice, muffled but clear. "I made a mistake. Please give me 5 minutes." Her voice cracked like she'd been crying. I stood 10 feet from that door. Didn't say a word. Didn't open it. Didn't yell at her to leave. Didn't acknowledge her existence. I walked into the kitchen, made a turkey sandwich, grabbed a beer, and turned on the TV. I could still hear her, knocking, calling my name, saying she was scared, that she'd made the biggest mistake, that she still loved me. I sat on my couch, ate my sandwich, watched a documentary about deep-sea fishing, and let her stand there in the cold. After about 20 minutes, the knocking stopped. I heard her car start, the tires crunching on the gravel. Then silence. That moment, sitting there with my empty plate, my beer, my peace, that was my revenge. Not screaming. Not telling her about the money. Not giving her a single second of my time or energy. Just silence. Cold. Absolute. Perfect. Silence. Later that week, an email arrived from Sarah, one of Chloe's friends I'd always thought was decent. Subject line, "You should know." The message explained Chloe had been telling everyone we were on a break, that I'd disappeared because I was upset, that she had every right to talk to me. But the kicker, Sarah wrote that Chloe suspected I'd won money. That she was obsessing over lottery records and asking mutual friends if I'd mentioned a windfall. She was telling people she deserved a share because we were engaged, because she supported me emotionally, because the ticket was bought during our relationship. The entitlement was breathtaking. The audacity almost impressive. I forwarded that email to Mark immediately. He called an hour later, his voice matter of fact, "Ignore her. She has no claim. You're 100% protected." So, I did. I went back to my life in Sun Valley. Quiet mornings by the lake. Coffee dates with Allison. Volunteering. Hiking. Being happy. Chloe could tell whatever stories she wanted back in Portland. Obsess over money she'd never touch. I was done giving her space in my head. Spring came to Sun Valley, bringing a peace I hadn't felt in years. Not interrupted by anxiety or anger. The snow melted, wildflowers bloomed. I fell into a rhythm that felt sustainable. Early mornings, coffee on my deck, freelance IT work I actually enjoyed because I wasn't desperate for every paycheck. I still lived modestly. Drove the same truck. Wore jeans and flannels. Nobody in Sun Valley knew I had money. That anonymity was worth more than any mansion. I kept volunteering, teaching kids coding, helping seniors with emails. Ethan and I fished twice a week, just floating, talking about nothing important. Those hours became my therapy. Allison and I got closer, naturally. Not rushed. We cooked dinner, she'd teach me to season food, I'd make her laugh burning something. We hiked Yellowstone National Park, existing together, easy and right. She still didn't know about the lottery. I hadn't told her because our relationship wasn't built on that. I wanted to keep it pure. Meanwhile, back in Portland, Chloe's life was apparently falling apart. My brother called in April, mentioned he'd run into Chloe's cousin at a grocery store. The cousin talked his ear off about Chloe struggling, becoming isolated, friends tired of her drama. Apparently, she told everyone I'd abandoned her, run off with money, refused to talk, that she deserved closure. The story had evolved from "we're on a break" to "you won the lottery and ghosted me" to "I have legal rights to his winnings." Each version more desperate. Some people believed her, most didn't. Her reputation took a hit. People remembered she dumped me on Christmas when I was at my lowest. Now, her crying about a second chance just made her look shallow. My brother said the cousin seemed embarrassed. I listened and felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not vindication, not even pity. Just indifference. She made her choice on December 25th. Now she was living with it. By summer, the messages mostly stopped. Mark called in June. Chloe had consulted a lawyer about claiming part of my winnings. The lawyer told her exactly what Mark told me: zero legal standing. Not married. Ticket bought with my money before she left. Trust airtight. Even her lawyer advised her to move on. That was the last I heard of legal threats. She'd finally accepted reality. Allison and I made things official that summer. A quiet conversation on my deck. This was real. I told her about the lottery not long after. Explained the whole story, from losing my job, to Chloe leaving, finding the ticket, moving to Idaho. She listened, didn't interrupt. When I finished, she just nodded, said it explained some things, but didn't change how she felt about me. That response meant more than any money. She fell for me when she thought I was just some IT guy, not because of what I had, but who I was. Fall brought clarity. I hadn't thought about Chloe in weeks. She was just a story. A closed chapter. My brother heard she started dating someone new from her office. I felt genuinely happy for her. It meant she'd moved on. The holidays approached, no dread this time. I looked forward to them. Allison and I planned Thanksgiving with Ethan and friends at my place. Christmas was coming. Presents bought. Visiting my parents with Allison. Decorating the house with someone who actually wanted to be there. 1 year ago, I was watching Chloe walk out, feeling my life was over. Now, I live in a beautiful place with genuine friends and a woman who loves me for real. None of it had anything to do with the money. The money gave me options, security, the ability to disappear. But it didn't buy happiness. Happiness came from building something new, not clinging to something broken. From realizing Chloe leaving was the best thing that could have happened, forcing me to become someone better. I think about that Christmas morning sometimes. How she looked at me with contempt, said I had no future. How certain she was. I wonder if she replays it. Realizes she walked away from someone who would have spent his life making her happy, shared everything, loved her enough to keep trying. But mostly, I don't wonder about her at all. I'm too busy living the future she said I didn't have. The best revenge wasn't rubbing my lottery win in her face. Or posting my new life on social media. Or confronting her. The best revenge was silence. Building a life so fulfilling and peaceful she became irrelevant. Finding someone who saw my worth when I had nothing. Chloe left because she thought I was a bad investment. Couldn't see past a temporary setback. That says everything about her. Nothing about me. She wanted a future that looked good on paper. I wanted a future that felt good in reality. And I got exactly what I wanted. So, if you're going through something similar, if someone left you when you were down and now regrets it because your situation improved, remember this: you don't owe them closure. You don't owe them explanations. You don't owe them anything. Build your new life in silence. Find people who value you consistently. Let your happiness be the only answer they ever get. That silence will haunt them way more than any words. And you'll be too busy being happy to even notice. What do you think about this story?